Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Joe Gould. I am here with Adam Winters. We were on a quest for a good Superman movie. We may have some friendly banter as to whether or not this one passes, but it's Superman 4 from 1987, The Quest for Peace.
Yeah, I don't know if it's any good. It might be historically significant.
It's like the other side of the coin of Rocky and the Cold War.
Well, I was thinking that too. So I got a timeline here that I wrote down. Rocky 4 comes out in U.S. theaters in November 1985. In June of 1986, Ronald Reagan gives his famous "Tear Down This Wall, Mr. Gorbachev" in Berlin. In October of 1986, a two-day peace summit between Reagan and Gorbachev in Iceland. The talks break down. They were unable to get their nuclear arms treaty together for somewhat of a small matter, but it wasn't a total loss. That failure of that summit apparently motivated Christopher Reeve and crew to want to do Superman 4, which hits theaters in July 1987.
I think the 6 million helped out.
So the Salkinds are not involved at all. Is that correct? With this movie?
That is correct. They had said if Superman 3 made a certain amount of money that they would do Superman 4. And it made probably twice what that amount was, but everybody hated it. So that, and they made a Santa Claus movie of some sort that apparently bombed.
Yeah.
I had never heard of it.
Santa Claus the movie. I thought that was Dino De Laurentiis did that one. There's something about that 80s Superman movie. It reminds me a lot of the Dino De Laurentiis King Kong. It's really hard to explain, but maybe it's something to do with the New York skyline and how they incorporate it into the movie.
I don't know. I think it would have been great if Clark Kent had gone to see Rocky 4 at some point during this movie, or just had a poster worked into the background.
So in this movie, Superman is less concerned about the Berlin Wall and communism and more concerned about nuclear weapon deterrent strategy by escalation. And I guess it all starts with a little boy who writes a letter to Santa Claus. Who writes a letter to Superman. Well, maybe you should take it from there.
Is he really concerned about the weapons, or is he really concerned about the bad press? Soups tells kid drop dead.
I did not understand that bit. That was not a Daily Planet headline, was it? That was something else.
I think it was a Daily Planet headline. I might be wrong. So I think that gets confusing because it doesn't have one of the deleted scenes where he gets the letter and he flies to see the kid, and he does tell the kid to his face, basically, "Hey man, drop dead." Wanted to say it in person though.
What? He said it is forbidden for him to interfere in, now we remember it from Superman 1 and 2, human history. But Superman changes the dialogue to human destiny. No, a little bit of a slick slip of the tongue there to give it a different meaning. So I believe this movie here is the only true the only true sequel to Superman 2's theatrical cut. Whereas Superman 3 follows Superman 2, same director but has nothing to do with it. And Superman Returns is a spiritual sequel to the Donner cut of Superman 2. So this movie tries to be a sequel to the Lester cut of Superman 2 for good or ill.
Well, Soups is just stretching that line, that dialogue, that message, like the logo for this movie was in the opening credits.
Yeah, it was an odd sequence. I give you that. It was hard to read all the credits in this movie, beginning and ending.
Well, some of that's because the way they filmed it, they stretched it for widescreen, but they didn't take the time to just fix the size of the words.
Knucklehead. There's a fuzziness, too, to all the text.
There's a fuzziness to this whole movie, every special effect.
Oh, man.
Cards on the table. Do you like or dislike or hate or love this movie?
I don't hate it, but I dislike it.
All right. I love this movie. I absolutely love this movie. And I'm not saying it's a good movie. I'm just saying I love this movie. It is
that's
the
fair.
only, as far as I can tell, I'm not going to count the Mole Men, the only B movie for Superman that's an actual B movie that we've got.
You know what could have made that even more interesting? Potential directors that this movie could have had. Did you look that up?
I read it on Wikipedia. I didn't have a chance to do my real thorough research. I got a phone call that distracted me for about an hour today. But this could have had Wes Craven.
Wouldn't that have been interesting?
Oh my god!
How many nightmares had he done?
I don't know, because probably not that many. Because it's 87. It's maybe one or two, I would think. I think I believe Freddy came after Jason. I want to say Jason was like 1980, 81. So I don't know. Either way, I mean, the horror icon could have directed a B movie Superman film. Oh, that would have been so
I
amazing.
think I would have liked it a lot more if he was involved.
I think the fingernails would have been a lot cooler on the bad guy.
That's the part of the design I don't understand for Nuclear Man. But
so I had a realization today because I missed it the first time I watched it. I watched this movie twice. I watched it like last Tuesday after we recorded on Monday because I was interested in doing it and no one was up. But I needed to rewatch it today, at least go through it to make sure I kind of refresh my memory. And Luthor gives away the plot when he's explaining about Nuclear Man and that he will have the ability to penetrate Superman's skin and poison him. And he didn't use those exact words, but I missed that whole thing.
Is that when they're mixing up the ectoplasm? Lenny Luthor is mixing it up?
I think so. But he explains it, and you kind of gloss over it. It's just like he's just narrating what's going to happen, right?
It's dumb.
But he really does have claws that pierce the skin.
Luthor is acting like this is ho-hum science project. Like he's acting like Lenny's going to submit this to the school science fair and win a blue ribbon. Like he's done this before.
Yeah, but don't you just love Gene Hackman's performance in this movie?
I love Hackman's performance. I wish he didn't have some of those dialogue lines that he was probably contractually obligated to recite.
I love the sarcasm. I loved them though. For this movie, it's a B movie. Like it's supposed to be. Like it's absurd. They are embracing the absurdity.
Well, here's a question I have. So I have read that Christopher Reeve is in this movie for one reason, and that's because when Canon Films bought the $5 million rights from the Salkinds to do a Superman movie, Christopher Reeve was promised that if he does Superman 4, they'll let him make another movie for their studio about a mild-mannered reporter who's not a superhero. But why in the world is Gene Hackman doing this movie?
For what it's worth, when I see Hackman on screen, I don't think he's having a bad time. Now, he's getting older.
But Superman 3 had a bigger budget, and he ducked Superman 3.
Well, he claims that he had a scheduling conflict. And then the people making the movie also said, and this is probably not a bad idea, that they felt like they needed a break from Lex Luthor. So I don't know that he was ever... Obviously, it sounds like he didn't appreciate how Donner was treated. But I don't think he ever hated the role. Like, I think he just thought it was a fun role.
Okay. So Lester was in charge of Superman 3, but Lester has no involvement with Superman 4. Maybe that's part of it. And maybe the Salkinds having no involvement means he does still like the role, but so long as the Salkinds and Lester are gone, he's okay with doing whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, with George Reeve, it should be said, they offered him $6 million. They financed Street Smart. And he got to pick the basic premise. Yeah.
You said George.
Oh, well, I didn't put the S on. That's what I was focused on, was saying his last name right. But anyways, for Reeve, they gave him a big payday. They gave him his pet project, and they let him pick the story. And apparently the director.
And he wanted Ron Howard.
I just can't imagine. First, I can see why Wes Craven and Christopher Reeve didn't get along. But, man, make it work. Make it work. Come on, man.
I know, man.
Get your shit together.
Please. Make that work, please. I wish we'd go in a time machine and somehow make that happen. Oh, man. We could have had a real Bizarro instead of Nuclear Man. I think that's fair.
We could have had Bizarro. I don't understand why they cut Bizarro out of this movie. That was actually a pretty fun little scene, and it wasn't that long.
You know, I mean, he was in the Super Friends. Yeah, people know Bizarro.
So, all right, so I have a whole list of things I love about this movie. And one of the things I don't quite love and I don't understand is, so the first 2 times we see Superman in this movie have nothing to do with the rest of the movie. So, well, maybe the first one slightly. So he rescues the space station, the Russian people, at the beginning.
That's my favorite scene of the movie. I think it's really good.
It's fine. I'm not complaining about the scenes. I'm just saying you have that scene, and then he saves Lois off the train. Both of these scenes really don't add much to the plot, if anything. However, they cut out Bizarro 1. Or Nuclear Man 1, however you want to say it, which probably would have added 15 minutes to the film. Like, you could have switched those out and had Bizarro.
I know. It needed... I don't think Nuclear Man shows up until the last 30 minutes of the movie. Maybe it's the last 40 minutes.
He shows up right at the halfway point. I noticed it because I just got done watching it the second time, and I made a mental note. He showed up about 45 minutes into the movie.
He definitely should have been there earlier. It seems to me he's a bigger threat to Superman than all three of the Kryptonians. Somehow, one nuclear man is a bigger problem.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I should say my favorite thing of all about this movie is that it's like 95 minutes. I am so
Yeah.
tired of 2 hour and 10-minute Superman movies. They are not that good. There's a reason why the Mole Man movie was great. It was an hour.
When you've got a guy as powerful as Superman, movies shouldn't have to be more than an hour and a half. That's the way I
No.
look at it.
Though there's an irony though, because in this particular case, I think this could have been an hour 45, an hour 50, and would have felt the exact same because they cut out stuff that was relatively interesting. But
Yeah.
whatever. It's like it wasn't like they cut out fluff. Like there really isn't a lot of fluff in this movie. It moves pretty quick.
So I told you the Russian space station rescue is my favorite scene. In the deleted scenes, we could have gone back to that in the end of the movie, and it would have been sort of a, see the world like I see it type of stuff. Michael Jackson singing "We Are the World," or I don't know. But my second favorite scene happens not long after the train sequence, and that is Superman finally back on the Kent farm, which we didn't get to see in Superman 3. And I think all that Smallville backstory was a missed opportunity for them to do it in Superman 3. With as you mentioned, his mother had died off screen before the movie, and I didn't catch that. It was a line of dialogue. But here we get to see him back on the farm one last time, and you think it's just sentimental, but it actually is important to the plot, which that part's weird to me. But overall, I like Kent back on the farm, not willing. He's talking to, what is it, his real estate guy?
I think it's his oil tycoon.
Oh, yeah. But he knows him from childhood. I guess he knew his dad, Jonathan Kent.
Yeah, in 1987, you have a sight unseen offer that Clark does not want to accept because he doesn't want to be a big development mall. And I'm looking out there and I'm saying to myself, I don't think you have to worry about that. Your farm isn't that big or that close to civilization.
Well, he was forward thinking.
They didn't have outlet malls yet.
He didn't want them bought up by China. He wanted a real American farmer.
So in the deleted scenes, he tries to sell that to his new girlfriend, or almost girlfriend, because she looks like she would know what to do with a farm.
Just let her have it for free, is what I'm thinking. Should we talk about the love life of Clark Kent and how complicated it's gotten since the end of Superman 2?
Well, I love how they made up for the fact their budget got cut by filming it felt like a 20-minute scene of him going back and forth between Clark and Superman on their little double date interview in the city.
That's probably my third favorite scene of this movie.
I like the
not
scene.
Not bad.
No, I like the scene.
It's got a good set piece.
But when you read that the budget got cut so much, you can kind of see why they did that.
Is that supposed to be Mrs. Warfield's apartment? Lacey Warfield, the new love interest?
I assumed it was Lois's because she was cooking.
Oh,
but I might be wrong.
Oh, she did. It's weird though. You wouldn't think Lois would have had that kind of money. That's a nice apartment, nicer than the one she had in the first Superman movie.
She did win a Pulitzer. Maybe Clark's paying part of her rent. He apparently lives next to a bar. If you watch the deleted scene.
Yeah, I did see that. So when Clark goes back to Smallville, what's your interpretation of the Kryptonian crystal? The one more Kryptonian crystal that's buried beneath the barn. I didn't quite follow all that.
So, yeah, I don't get it either. I don't think it really gets any clarity. I don't think we learn anything new because as far as I know, the only thing extended they got cut from the opening was he goes to visit the graves of his parents, which is not included on the DVD Blu-ray that has all the deleted scenes. So I don't know if it was actually filmed or not. I'm not really sure. But I don't understand where that crystal comes from. Like,
it's one more that apparently he didn't know about until he just went back to the farm.
So I felt like he looked for it, though. See, I wasn't sure why he was really at the farm. Was he pretending to talk to his oil tycoon real estate guy, or was he going back for the crystal?
It would seem to be both, but that's very weird to me.
From a plot point perspective, that's the most confusing to me in terms of what's actually going on here. I understand why they're doing it. Saves Mr. Rogers later, but I don't know.
So in the theatrical cut, the Fortress of Solitude was never destroyed at the end of Superman 2. It was in Donner cut, but not in Lester cut, and that's why he still has the fortress, and he can still go back and talk to his mother, even though I thought the theatrical Lester cut of Superman 2 still tried to keep the plot that once he got his powers back, he could no longer commune with the Kryptonian artificial intelligence system.
So I think my favorite scene in this movie is the mind wipe kiss again.
Oh man,
Because
how can you love this movie when they reprise that whole storyline?
I view that as them making fun of it.
All
So
right.
Superman's down in the dumps because everybody thinks he told a kid to drop dead, and he's kind of sulking. Then Lois comes over, and he wants to feel better about himself. So he takes her and he throws her out of the window, jumps with her, catches her as Superman with glasses on, reveals his identity. They fly around for a few minutes. He throws her just to go catch her. It's like throwing your kid up in the air to freak him out. And then he gets back with her, and he says, basically, he says, "You're the only person I can talk to, Lois, but you'll never know." And he kisses her, mind wipes her again. It's like a 2-minute scene. It's amazing. Like it's just so, like it's just hilarious.
So I tried to break this movie down set piece by set piece, scene by scene, and there's probably about 30 different ones. And I referred to that whole sequence as Lois and Clark fresh air sequence. And I wrote down my reaction as cringe, as the kids today say on so it's the worst special effects in the whole movie.
Oh,
That whole
absolutely.
bit.
Yeah.
And it's shocking to me that is the worst looking bit in the movie.
Now the flying in this movie, which it does have a considerable amount of, is very poor, and it feels like
But
they
it
should
looks
have.
worse.
Go ahead.
It looks worse in the daytime than it does at night. You can hide a lot in dark lighting, and the outer space sequences at least look plausible to me. Whereas Superman, if he's being projected over an actual geographical location, everything just looks horrendous. The color balance, oh man.
No, it looks like they took a VHS tape and then they ripped it onto another VHS tape and then they blew it up real big in the background. It's pretty atrocious. I did
You
like the
know,
space scene. The moon looked great. I think they borrowed the set from the government so they wouldn't have to spend the money on it. It looked great.
oh, I like that. Yeah, yeah. The one they used in Roswell for the moon landing, right? There,
Yeah,
69.
yeah.
It's a good looking set. And you know what? I like, spoiler, I like the usage of a solar eclipse on this movie's resolution. I think it's good.
Well, I mean, you're comparing it to all the other endings.
Oh, yeah, comparatively, it's fantastic. And it's a Superman feat I can get behind.
I would have loved Superman to end the movie by taking a sheet and just throwing it over Nuclear Man, so he is depowered. Because that's all he would needed. Just need to block the sunlight. The sunlight.
Understand the elevate. I'm getting ahead of ourselves. I didn't understand the elevator bit at all with Nuclear Man. I had that written down in my notes as elevator action sequence, but we can get to that later.
Yeah, I guess loosely going through the plot, Superman saves a Russian space station. He gets his little Kryptonian energy cube, or not cube, but a little shard, which can only be used once. Important to know. Back in Metropolis, Daily Planet's been bought by a tabloid guy, David Warfield, who replaces Perry White with his daughter, Lacey.
Yeah. Let me say one thing about Perry White real quick. If you look on the end credits, I'm pretty sure Jackie Cooper is number 3 on the cast billing, which was bizarre to me because he's in 2 scenes of this movie. Neither one that important.
No, I agree. So everybody's getting upset about the nuclear race, and the little boy writes the letter. We talked about that, and Superman tells him to drop dead, but then he's feeling bad about it because it's getting bad press. So then he goes to the Fortress of Solitude, as we discussed, and he gets some guidance there, which isn't really what he wants to hear. He gets sad. He flies Lois around. He kisses her and mind wipes her. And that's when he decides that he's just going to do it anyways. And he tells them he's going to get rid of he goes to the United Nations, and he tells them what his plan was. And I wrote it down. What was it?
Well, he's going to gather them all up in a net and throw them into the sun. That's what he's going to do. That's what he does do.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, he basically says, as of today, I'm not a visitor anymore. I can't stand idly by, so I've come to a decision. To do what our governments are unwilling or unable to do, effective immediately, I'm taking away all your nuclear weapons. And they all applaud him. And this is where you expect the heel turn later on. Superman 5 could have been an Elseworld thing, but he goes rogue.
Well, I wrote down in my notes, this is very awkwardly Kingdom Come. And I know, having read Kingdom Come, that's not quite how the story goes with Superman, but you talk about your Elseworld, your Injustice, your super dictator, your dark side controlled Superman in the Bruce Timm universe. This is just it seems to me this is where a lot of that would start, and everybody is happy and smiling about it.
Oh yeah.
So there you go.
This would have been a great animated movie Had Wes Craven directed it. Oh, man.
Oh,
Um,
that would have been something.
so I need to point out something that already happened. We won't go back to it. I love the fact that in his apartment, Clark has a Tampa Bay Buccaneers pennant sitting in the corner.
I missed that. I didn't see
Why
it.
would he have a Tampa Bay Bucks? This is 1987. When was their winless season? 86? I mean, I don't remember, but like why? Like
Yeah,
he's supposed to be in New York. He's from Kansas. So he's a fan of the worst football team in the country. That's in Florida.
probably inspires him about trying to encourage humanity onto betterness. He probably gets inspiration from them.
The other little prop that I enjoyed in this movie was when Nuclear Man shows up. Did you notice what the nephew's doing?
Mr. John Cryer, Mr.
Yeah.
Lenny when he shows up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's in front of an arcade machine or a pinball machine, and then he gets levitated. But I'm not sure what else I'm supposed to be remembering.
Right, so prior to that, when they hear the noise of him getting there, he's actually playing Donkey Kong on an NES machine with the robot next to it.
Really, Rob the Robot? I completely missed that detail.
I didn't catch it the first time. Caught it the second time.
Do you feel like Lenny Luthor needs to be in this movie? Does he really add anything other than breaking Lex out of the quarry?
Well, he provides someone for Lex to talk to. Or Gene
But
Hackman, I should say.
He has his two blonde bimbo ladies.
Yeah, but I don't think they would help
names.
much with science experiments.
Why not bring back Miss Teschmacher? I mean,
I don't know.
Why not?
I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong.
Yeah, maybe she finally moved on, but I doubt it.
Yeah. As we just said, Lenny Luthor breaks out Lex Luthor from jail using his car. It's got his name on the side. Pretty neat looking little car.
Yeah.
I think they spent probably too much on that.
This goes back, that scene there with the car, it goes back to your saying about why are these movies afraid to kill anybody, or at least suggest people die. When those guards go off, it has to cut to the shot to let you know they're okay somehow.
It makes you wonder, like, if this had been a Batman movie where they let people die, or was it just not time yet? We had to get to the 90s when everything was dark again.
I
don't know.
I don't know about the limits on the 8. Because it's not like when the car crashed, it's not like you should have assumed they definitely died. But you think probably they did die. But then they put an extra scene that doesn't have to be there to explicitly tell you, oh no, they're fine. They're not even hurt that bad. Yeah,
I think part of that is Lex Luthor in these movies. He's a bad guy, but he really just wants the threat of calamity. He doesn't actually want the calamity. And they even make a few mentions about that in this movie. Because he tells Superman he doesn't actually want nuclear war. And then at the end of the movie, as he's arrested, Lex asks Supes if the world's about to end. He said, nope, you don't have to worry about that. See you in 20.
Actually, 18 years. That's 18 more years. Didn't the Superman Returns movie come out after he said that?
That's a different universe, I think. But yeah.
It's close. See you in 18 years.
Oh, Lex. It is close. It is close. So Lex's plan revolves around a strand of Superman's hair, which is holding up 1,000-pound weight, and he's able to cut it. I appreciate that.
It's not inconceivable that the hair could be strong for weight bearing, but susceptible to being cut.
My understanding is that Superman historically uses his laser vision to shave.
Yeah, it's unlikely an average human with a pair of average scissors is going to be able to cut one strand of Superman's hair. Unlikely.
Yeah.
Unless they're kryptonite scissors.
In fairness, these weren't scissors. These were basically, shears like you would use for your lawn.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay. But still, I'd say that's unlikely that they can give Superman a haircut.
So, Superman uses his laundry net to throw all the missiles into the sun. But Lex gets a missile because he coordinates with some missile dealers. And they put...
Yeah, the warheads.
Yeah, and they put this hair fetus. I don't even know what you want to call it.
They sneak onto a military base, just like Richard Pryor. He didn't go onto a base, but they fake being military personnel. So
yeah, and they put the Superman goo onto the missile. They shoot it. Superman intercepts, hurls it into the sun, which creates nuclear man.
So it is Superman's fault that his decision to take over the world's nuclear arms race does lead to the birth of Nuclear Man. I feel like Lex Luthor got really lucky here, because when he broke out of jail, this was not something Superman had already declared he was going to do. And it's just, he's got an opportunity now to get his plan in place with some magic science that he apparently knows all about how to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is where we lose a little bit, not having the original deleted scene where he makes a Bizarro type man who is like a really silly Hammer villain of a Frankenstein movie, and he's kind of like Bizarro. He's pretty much a simpleton, but he makes him using like man-made energy source. And Superman throws him into a telephone pole. He gets electrocuted, and he basically turns into tar. And that's where Luthor says, "I need a stronger source of energy. I need something like the sun." And that's where he gets the idea of hitching it to a missile, which makes a lot more sense. He needed something
Yeah,
stronger,
it
more
does.
pure. So
It's fair.
So Nuclear Man shows up. They reveal that he's inactive without sunlight, so you could throw a blanket over him and he'd be done. If this had been Superman 2, that's probably how they would have ended the movie. But I don't know. Superman stops Nuclear Man from throwing the Statue of Liberty, but as he's putting it back, Nuclear Man comes and gets his cat claws out and scratches the back of Superman's neck. And that gets Superman real sick.
So I'll say this. The whole concept of a Death of Superman storyline is really glossed over in this movie. The newspapers just assume Superman has died. And I'm not sure why. Because they would not have seen him any appearance of death. It's just he hadn't showed up in a while.
Yeah, I agree. And so the extended version, well, when I say extended, I'm just referring to the deleted scenes. But the deleted scenes spend a little bit more time with sick Clark when he gets really, like Mr. Rogers with cancer kind of visual. Like they don't really make him look sick as much as just old.
Yeah, I thought about that. He ages about 40 years.
Yeah, it's supposed to be that he's been poisoned by the radiation. In reality, his hair turns gray. He puts an old man sweater on because he's cold, and he's got wrinkles.
He looks like old Biff in Back to the Future Part 2. That's what he looks like.
Yeah, I agree.
So before that happens, Mr. Warfield tells Lacey to fire Clark because he hasn't shown up for work in a few days. And Lois Lane says she's quitting. And Lacey also tells her father off. But Lois has the bright idea, since nobody's seen Clark Kent in a while, to actually go to his apartment.
Shocking, huh? Probably because it's a bad part of town, man. By that bar.
Okay, so she is able to break in the locked door using a credit card or something. Crummy lock. I guess if you're Superman, you don't worry too much about somebody breaking in while you're there, but you should be concerned if people break in while you're not there. See what they might find. And, Clark doesn't look that bad. He just has a little bit of a cold, but Lois sort of has that conversation with him where even though they don't do the forgetful kiss, the movie people want us to think she kind of really does know he's Superman because she gives him that, if Superman were here, I'd tell him, yada, yada, yada. And it's one of those things where I think the movie wants it both ways. Spider-Man 2 did the deal with Aunt May and Peter. It's kind of similar. Wouldn't surprise me if Sam Raimi was influenced. But Spider-Man 2 pulled that off a little bit better than Superman 4 because they just want it both ways.
Oh, yeah. I wrote down, I love how Lois gives the cape to Clark so that he can give it to Superman. And they give last speeches to each other. And it's really unclear whether she really knows Clark is Supes because she gives the last speech to Superman as if he was there. And he gives a speech as if Superman was going to reply to her. So, yeah.
The movie wants it both ways.
Yeah.
Does she know or doesn't she?
She's too emotional for her not to know. But it's very obvious the movie implies that she doesn't.
I guess subconsciously she does remember everything. But it's so weird in the way it's done.
Yeah.
And then we get Clark aging 40 years. But he still has the crystal? Where is he keeping his green crystal? In Metropolis.
I don't know, but he should have used it sooner.
Yeah, go figure. Maybe he thought, I'll get over this. Men don't want to go to the doctor. Men don't even want to take the medicine until they have to.
I mean, he didn't have to go to the doctor.
But you don't want to take that medicine. He's like, I'll get over this. I'm cool. I don't need to be taking supplements.
I'll just drink a little more water.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he does. He does go to the sink, doesn't he?
Yeah.
That's kind of a weird bit.
Well, in the deleted scene, at least. But, so then Nuclear Man decides that he likes... what's her name?
Lacey.
And
why?
He sees her picture and decides he likes her. And by the way, Nuclear Man is voiced by Gene Hackman. So I appreciate that too, I have to say.
All right. Why doesn't he have Superman's voice? He gets his DNA from Superman.
I guess he considers Luthor his father. Bizarro. I don't know. But Hackman gets to do a little more. I'm good with that. And Nuclear Man, he kind of reminded me of John Kreese from Karate Kid with more eyeliner.
He would have been an okay casting choice for that bit.
Yeah.
John Kreese.
J.D. Kreese, his eyeliner.
He was sort of at the top of his stardom, I think, in the late 80s, wasn't he?
Yeah, I doubt he had the build for it, but yeah.
Oh, come on. He'd been okay.
I don't know. Anyways, ultimately, Lacey gets a moon trip, and where she's fine, by the way. She can breathe up in space, and Superman
Is that
confronts.
before? Wait.
Go ahead.
Before or after Superman and Nuclear Man fight on the moon? And there's a Looney Tunes bit where Nuclear Man bops him down like a carrot.
Oh, that's on the moon. The bopping is
But
into the
do
moon.
they do that before he goes down to visit Lacey? I know there's some weird deleted scenes. When does he go pick her up?
I think that he goes to get Lacey after he bops Superman into the ground. That
But he
frees him
went
up.
to find her first, and Superman was waiting for him for some reason. So how does Superman know Nuclear Man wants to go King Kong with Lacey Warfield?
Yeah, I would imagine that's a deleted scene problem that they didn't shore up with a line of dialogue. She's not really important, but yeah, she's tossed around a little bit. Superman confronts Nuclear Man. Ultimately, they end up on the moon. This is a nice fight. I like this fight. I think the black background helps. They didn't have to animate anything.
It's all right.
And a nice little fight.
It's very WWF. Very WWF.
Yeah, and it looks better too because anytime you have flying in a Superman movie, it's kind of slow. So the fact that they're on the moon and you would naturally be slow helps when they throw each other.
You wouldn't have to worry about wind, not necessarily.
Yeah, no wind, no gravity, no background. So it works out pretty well. They end up back on Earth. He throws Nuclear Man in an elevator.
Yeah, why?
Where there's no light, and he kind of stops moving. And then Superman takes the elevator back to the moon and just drops it. And of course, that damages the elevator because he didn't carefully place it. And some sunlight gets in and awakens him. I'm not sure if he's full energy, but they kind of fight again.
You kind of wonder why he doesn't just throw the elevator into deep space where he doesn't think there would be any star in the trajectory.
Or just bury the elevator on the moon carefully.
Yeah, that works too. If you bury an elevator in the moon with Nuclear Man inside, I guess that works in this movie's logic.
But he gets out, and I think that's when he actually kidnaps Lacey, and they fly around outer space.
Well,
and Superman
there's the
rescues
jobber
her.
bit because Superman wants to put the flag back, and he turns his back to the elevator.
Oh yeah,
and Nuclear Man gives him the shaft, and because Superman's back is turned, he doesn't know what's going on. So then it's the WWE cheap shot, and then the Bugs Bunny bit where he pounds him into the ground like a vegetable. Then he goes back to Earth.
Yeah. Now I want to say, I don't want to rag on this Bugs Bunny bit too much. Superman 3, which you liked, had the same similar thing with the tire throws. So I will say that.
Well, I didn't say I cared for the action sequences in Superman 3, but I like the humor in Superman 3.
And ultimately, Superman saves the day by moving the moon to create a
I'm
eclipse.
cool with that.
Yeah. And it depowers Nuclear Man, and he takes Nuclear Man and he throws him into the core of a power plant, which apparently converted him to energy for the power grid. And Superman thought about how to do this while he was sick with the radiation poisoning, which doesn't explain what he did with the elevator at all. But,
Okay.
I don't know. And then the movie ends with Perry White regaining controlling interest in the planet by getting all the banks in the city to give him money to buy up the shares. And then Superman...
Hostile takeover.
Then Superman reenacts Action Comics #1 by picking up Luthor's vehicle, and he flies them to prison. Lenny gets to go to a creepy Catholic school of some sort.
I think it's a real one in Nebraska.
He's just excited he gets to play his drums again. Then Lex goes back to prison. He tells Lex, "Don't worry, the world's not going to end. See you in 18 to 20." And then he flies off into space, and he winks at the camera as the movie ends, which is a pretty fitting conclusion to the Christopher Reeve Superman saga.
I like the final shot. It's one of the few good scenes of Superman flying in the movie. And in the deleted scenes, little Jeremy was supposed to be involved in that, and they were going to bring back the Russian space station or the spacecraft.
Yeah, so I didn't mention that Superman gives a speech about how he probably shouldn't have done what he did. The world's going to have to learn to be peaceful because you're going to have to want peace enough to force your governments into providing for you, basically. And he wishes that everyone else can see the world the way he sees it. And then in the deleted scene, he takes the kid up into space with no protective clothing or helmet or oxygen and flies him around. And the kid says, "Oh, it's just one big world." And then the Michael Jackson song could have played. And they wink, and they say hello to the Russian that he saved earlier.
Yeah.
He was in the protective clothing.
Yeah.
So I like the ending of the final cut better, actually.
Do you? Just because it's so lame. The kid bit is so lame.
Oh, yeah. No, it ends with a speech, basically. And I think that's fine.
The school teacher should have encouraged the kid write your congressman or something. You know, that's the way the American government's at least set up to work. I can't speak for the USSR and its crumbling interface. So let me at least go back to my little timeline that I made. Superman 4 comes out July of 1987. The Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, signed by President Reagan and Gorbachev in Washington, D.C., is on December 8, 1987. And by November 9, 2 years later in 1989, the Berlin Wall falls. So who's to say Reagan and Gorbachev didn't get together and watch Superman 4 and say, yeah, man, let's do this deal.
I mean, it's plausible, I suppose. So, speaking of walls, another thing I love about this movie is how Superman can create matter with his eyes.
Okay, that's a bad scene. It didn't have to be, because it goes back to this movie and this franchise problem about not wanting to live with consequences of anything. So if they're afraid to show people dying or possibly dying, why are they afraid that something could be in a destroyed state, like the Great Wall of China? Why do you have to force a terrible scene with bad special effects that Superman immediately repairs it with his vision, when you just could have left it in a somewhat disrepaired state, and maybe before the credits roll, you see people getting together to put one stone back on another? You know, it's a nice little optimistic saying about humanity coming together to build walls and borders. But
yeah, so correct me if I'm wrong, John Byrne's Superman, was that 85 or 86?
Oh, the comic artist, right?
Yeah,
the Man of Steel miniseries?
Yeah.
I was thinking it was 86. It was the first major Superman project after the Crisis.
Okay, so that's what I was thinking too. So production for this movie would have been in 86. So he wouldn't have been regrounded yet. And one of the reasons they did reground him was all the absurdity that they were giving him in terms of powers. So we might be looking at that as more absurd than it really would have been at the time. I don't know if it's rooted in any actual comic book, but I wouldn't rule it out.
He uses his vision to make rocks reassemble, and you don't even get to see the rocks levitating.
Yeah, it's implied reassembling, but they don't just rewind the film and show the rocks reassembling.
Even if you give Superman that power, you got to put it on film better than the way they did that. And if they didn't have the budget for it, don't use that shot. Just leave the wall destroyed. That's what I say.
Yeah. Maybe they thought they'd have the budget for it, and then they didn't.
Because I actually think the sequences where Superman is saving some people on the Great Wall of China, I think that looks okay. They got some wire work of him flying slowly. That was okay, but they don't have the special effect figured out to repair the wall, so don't do it. That's what my 2 cents.
No, I agree. So the movie made about 30 to 35 million. I think let me see here. The budget for the movie was 17 million. So I don't know that they actually lost money on the movie as much as they just didn't make much.
I don't know how this would have been promoted being a different, smaller studio with Canon Films, and I don't know anything about the competition.
Well, it was still distributed by Warner Brothers.
Okay.
So I would imagine it would have gotten its regular maybe 10 million worth of ads. I don't know.
I think it's safe to say Warner Brothers didn't promote this thing like they did Batman 2 years later. And it's odd to think these movies are separated by 2 years. Superman 4 and Tim Burton Batman.
And probably the real reason why the stuff got deleted was they did a test screening that went really poorly, and they cut 45 minutes out of the movie, thankfully. And then rumor has it that they did that largely because they wanted to make as much money as they could before word of mouth killed the movie, because they kind of felt that it was terrible. And it kind of makes sense. You get more screenings on an hour-and-a-half movie as opposed to 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Probably works better for television, too, if you get it cable rights, whatever would have existed of that in 87.
Yeah, which sounds like the cable rights and the home video rights was a big problem, or a big reason why the budget got cut. It's because basically Canon would finance a lot of their movies by selling the rights in advance of the movie. But if the movie cost more than $5, $6, $7 million, well, those rights just weren't going to make up for it. So that's why they cut the budget. Initially, it was going to be a $36 million budget. It ended up being 17. And if Christopher Reeve got 6, I don't know what Hackman got or Margot.
So there is more Lois Lane in this movie than I remembered. In Superman 3, she's She has a cameo in the beginning and a cameo at the end. In my faulty memory, I was thinking she was mostly in the movie just for the forgetful kiss bit, and then she didn't show up at all. But she's got a substantial presence in this movie, even though I think she gets a fairly low billing on the cast list. She's pretty far down.
Even on the initial credits, they show her towards the very end, but they do
the last one, I think.
Yeah,
She's the last one.
But they do say Kidder as Lois Lane, so it's like they're giving her special billing in some way.
Yeah, but it's weird because she's in this movie significantly, but the movie it's not sure if it wants her to be a major lead in the movie or not.
They're playing the romantic tension between the new girl and Clark and Lois and Superman, and the jealousy that kind of comes up with Lois anytime they're all kind of in the same room. It kind of bleeds into each other. And she says a lot of nice things about Clark, but it's like, so for instance, she tells Clark, make sure you notice her dress. And then he does, he runs off. And then Superman shows up and he says something nice about the dress. And Lois like, we got to get out of here. So yeah, I think we've covered quite a bit.
Yeah, we deserve a medal for giving this movie a fair analysis. Oh, did you catch the possible reference to Hoosiers, the basketball movie?
When
Gene Hackman is talking maybe to Lenny, maybe to Nuclear Man, and he makes a reference that
point guard.
I'm the coach. Wait, I thought he said power forward.
He's
got the greatest power forward.
Yeah,
and I thought that was a reference to Hoosiers.
It could have been.
It was.
It could have been.
Because I don't remember the position the star player in Hoosiers was. Wouldn't surprise me if he was the power forward on that team.
Oh, one more thing I kind of forgot about that I love about this movie is it took me about 30 minutes to decide whether Nuclear Man was wearing pants because his attire is so close to his skin tone. Like, you gotta love such a costume design.
Do you think Lacey Warfield deserves Superman more than Lois does? Because she appreciates Clark Kent.
You can make an argument. I don't think you're telling lies.
Like, Lois just doesn't appreciate Clark, and I'm not quite sure why, but other than that's the way it has to be for the story to go.
Well, you could question whether or not Lois is actually a good person.
That's fair. Yeah. Well, she smokes. You can't be a good person if you smoke, can you?
I don't think she smokes in this movie.
She doesn't. Is there really no cigarettes? Does anybody smoke? Oh, Luthor has a cigar.
Yeah.
Nuclear Man lights it.
Superman 4. What are we going to rate it on?
We got green crystals that you found under the barn. We got hairs, super hairs.
Nuclear embryos.
We kind of ruled out our cigarettes.
Green screen wires.
Gotta respect that projector screen. Yeah, I don't even know if it was green screen. It was forgetful kisses, school letters, Russian spacecraft,
drop dead kids,
Berlin brick, or not Berlin Wall, but Great Wall of China bricks,
reassembled walls.
Yeah, we give it reassembled walls. I guess it's not inspired, but it's what everybody remembers about this.
I mean, there was more than one Nuclear Man. We could do Nuclear Men.
No, we don't need more of Nuclear Men and his creepy fingernails. Statue of Liberty toys. Yeah.
Old man sweaters.
Yeah, sure. Old man sweaters. Let's do it.
All right. What are you going to give it?
Giving it 1.5 because I would rather watch this than Superman Returns. And I can appreciate some of it. And I suppose I hadn't really appreciated till this watching that Superman does recognize the error of being a totalitarian dictator, even though it doesn't seem like anybody else recognizes that problem by the end of the movie. So, and the fact that it's short, I'm giving it 1.5 old man sweaters out of 5.
That's a cold old man. He doesn't have enough sweaters.
Yep.
So I'm looking at this as a B movie. I have to make that real clear. Okay, if this has been a tentpole feature, $100 million, this would not be what I would give it. Just making real clear about that. And I understand why everyone hates this movie. And I definitely understand why they hated it at the time. But I do think the movie's aged well. So as an aging movie, a B movie, I'm giving it 3.
That's fair. I respect it.
There's a lot of 80s movies that are just kind of cult classics. This could have been a cult classic if it wasn't a Superman movie.
Yeah. Let me ask you this as a follow-up. Assuming we take Superman 1 and 2 movies out of the equation for the Salkind universe, and we take both the Richard Lester and the Donner cuts out, and we just have Superman 3, 4, Superman Returns, and Supergirl, how do you rank those 4 sequels?
Oh, I feel like this movie and 3 are neck and neck. I like both of the movies, and they're doing different things. I think If Richard Pryor wasn't in 3, this would not be a discussion. Let's be clear about that too, because the villains suck in
That's
that movie.
fair.
Like, they're atrocious. And you can say that Nuclear Man sucks, and I can't necessarily argue, but you get some cool action sequences, which you didn't get in Superman 3.
That's true.
So,
bigger budget Superman 3, but not as good action sequences. Not as bad action sequences, but not as good either.
Yeah, so I think if 3 had ditched the couple and focused on Pryor and Brainiac, then that would have been a better movie. So as I'm talking, I'm going to say this one's better than 3, because I think the villain's a real villain. You get Hackman, you get a real threat, you get a moon fight, you get Old Man Clark. There's a lot of good things in this movie. Again, I recognize why people don't like it, and because of all the editing, there's plot holes. But I like the movie. It's like in its own little world. Had there not been 1 and 2, possibly even if you had 2, if you didn't have 1, I think this movie would have had more fans. But everyone expected a more serious movie, which I'm not sure why, because they just seen 3, which was not serious. But
if you were an actor reading the script, you would probably have been okay with Superman 4 at a script level, not so much at the production level.
Well, if they had kept its entire budget, like, I think if it had a $30 to $40 million budget, it probably would have been pretty well received movie, I think, at least as well as 3.
What would you put under? So if 4 is on top and 3 is just under it, how do you rank the next 2? Supergirl and Superman Returns.
Returns is so long. Supergirl was a really boring movie,
except when it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I expected it to be worse, but it was like Supergirl seems like it should have been the pilot for a TV show.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever have a chance to watch the Superboy show from the Saul kind. I don't know where I can find that.
Yeah, I don't know if they released it.
No, never officially released, but I don't know if it's accessible nonetheless. Well, if I'm ranking them in the order of which ones I rather watch, obviously Superman's 3 at the top for me. Then I put Supergirl below that. Then I put Superman 4 and at the bottom of the list. Based on which ones do I feel like watching? Superman Returns.
That's fair. Well, like I said, I mean, in a lot of ways you could say I'd rather watch the shortest movie. And I'd rather not watch the longest movie. So you could just...
Yeah.
In a lot of ways you just rank them that way. Which may be another reason why they put this one above 3. 3 was still a long movie. It didn't feel long, but it was. So
that's true. It's true. 3 could have been a whole lot better, but and 4 could have been. Do you think this one had a higher ceiling than 3 of how good it could have been in the right budget and the right hands?
Yes, if you spend the money to fix all the special effects. All right, well, that's been Superman 4, The Quest for Peace from 1987, the movie everyone hates.
Bye-bye.